Schizophrenia. What a word. It derives from the Greek, schizon, to split, and phren, mind. Small wonder then that the idea of a divided person with two or more personalities has endured so immutably in the public imagination. It's absolute nonsense though. Schizophrenia does not mean split personality, neither does it mean multiple personality. But declaring what it isn't is a good deal easier than asserting what it is. There is credible and often fiercely acrimonious dispute among the fields of psychiatry, psychology, genetics, neuroscience, and various charities and campaign groups over really everything from causes and categorization to treatment, and indeed to whether the very term schizophrenia has outlasted its usefulness, if indeed it was ever useful, and whether it should be abandoned entirely. If we tentatively take a seat in this debate, the first thing that becomes apparent is that there is no uncontroversial language when talking about mental illness. And actually the controversy surrounding a term relates largely to how medical it feels. So I can give you an example actually. It was during my own nurse training, working in psychiatric wards, that the term patient fell out of favour and was replaced with service user, granted to the confusion of many service users at the time. But the reasons are very interesting. The change was the result of decades of campaigning from people who had themselves been patients within psychiatric services and who roundly rejected the medical connotations of the term, that it implies a sort of doctor knows best passivity, compounding feelings that they had of disempowerment, and so service user was felt to be the more neutral term, defining people by exactly that, by their use of mental health services. So here we begin to see the beginnings of an ideological split, because if you are somebody who uses mental health services, and you're of the view that your distressing thoughts and behaviours are an illness, presumably located within your brain, but essentially the same as any kind of physical illness, then you might prefer to be called a patient, because if you are exactly the same as those patients who are being treated for diabetes or cancer or chest infections, then why would you want to be called something different? However, if you're of the view that, as many professionals and many people are, if you're of the view that even the most distressing of your thoughts, the most alarming of your beliefs, the most uncharacteristic of your behaviours are not a mental illness so much as a natural response to undischarged trauma or life events, well then, to see that wrapped up in a medical language that invariably begins with the word patient might be seriously problematic. Now, yes, this is a debate about language, but I think it would be wrong to dismiss any of this as unimportant, because actually in the mad world of mental health care, language is everything. And one of the truths that we confront in the Heartland is that for the overwhelming majority of psychiatric diagnoses, there is not a blood test or a brain scan or anything of the sort in order to confirm them, but rather it is the words that people say or do not say that, as much as anything else, lead to clinicians arriving at a diagnosis. And the language of diagnosis, for better or worse, has the power to radically alter people's lives. And so we can see that if a term as seemingly innocuous as patient is subject to so much controversy, then we can begin to imagine the dark storms of debate that circle the word schizophrenia.